In the cold dark of space, the human warship Defiance hung motionless, its hull scarred by fire and time. Inside, the ship lights flickered and air hissed through cracked vents. The crew was gone. Only one person remained. Captain Lisa Moran. She stood, alone on the bridge, her armor black and worn from years of battle. It covered her from neck to toe. Only her eyes were hidden behind a smooth helmet that showed no face, no expression. Just a dark mirror that reflected the dying ship around her outside. The view screen. The stars were silent but not empty. A massive alien ship loomed close, its shape like a clawed hand ready to crush the Defiance. It was the dreadnought of Queen Vela, ruler of the Krail Empire, the most powerful force in the galaxy. The Krail had come 10 years ago without warning. They burned human worlds, turned cities to glass, and enslaved or killed everyone. They believed humans were weak, soft creatures, not worthy of the stars. For years they were right, until Lisa Shea was not born a hero. She was a pilot, then a soldier, then a leader. When no one else would stand, she did, and she did not stop. She led raids on Krail supply lines, blew up their shipyards, and killed their warlords one by one. She never asked for glory. She only wanted to protect what was left of humanity. Now there was almost nothing left. The Defiance had no power, no weapons, no hope. But Lisa stayed. She could have taken an escape pod, fled into the void, but she did not. This ship had carried 200 good people, men and women who gave their lives so she could reach this moment. She owed them more than running. So she waited. A voice crackled over the comms, deep and calm like stone sliding over water. Human vessel. You are surrounded, power down, and surrender. Lisa did not answer. The voice came again. Sharper this time. You have no weapons, no shields, no chance. Surrender or be destroyed. Still she said nothing. Then the dreadnought opened its belly and black pods shot out like arrows they slammed into the Defiance with loud thuds tearing through metal and wire. Within minutes the ship groaned as alien warriors poured inside. Lisa heard them coming, boots on metal, voices hissing in a language full of clicks and growls. She did not move. She stood in the center of the bridge, arms at her sides, back straight like a statue. The doors slid open and Krail soldiers entered, tall and armored in black shells that looked like insect skin, their faces hidden behind masks that glowed red with each breath. They held curved blades that hummed with blue energy. They formed a circle around her but did not attack. They were waiting. Then from the hallway came a new presence, taller than the others. Her armor was silver and gold, woven with threads that pulsed. Like living veins, her steps made no sound, but the air seemed to bend around her. Queen Vela, her face was sharp with high cheekbones and eyes that burned like twin suns. She stopped 10 feet from Lisa and studied the human warrior like a rare animal. For 10 years, the queen said, you have haunted my empire. You destroyed my fleets, killed my generals, burned my outposts. You are a ghost, a shadow that strikes and vanishes. She circled Lisa slowly. But now you are caught, your ship is dead, your weapons are gone, your people are ash. She stopped in front. Why did you not run? Lisa did not speak. The queen tilted her head. You never speak. You never show your face. You fight like a machine. But you are not a machine, are you? Still silence. The queen's voice dropped. Lower, you have seen your kind before, weak, fearful, always begging for mercy, but you do not beg. She stepped closer. You are different. Then she raised one clawed hand. Remove your helmet. The words were not a request. They were a command. The Krail warriors tensed their blades, humming louder. Lisa did not move for a long moment. Then slowly she reached up with both hands and unclasped the helmet. It came off with a soft hiss. And there she stood. Not a monster. Not a robot, a woman. Her face was pale from years. In space, her eyes green and tired, but sharp like broken glass. Her short dark hair stuck to her forehead with sweat. She looked young, but her eyes held the weight of 1,000 battles. The queen froze. Every Krail warrior took a step back as if burned. No, one spoke, Queen. Vela stared at Lisa like she had seen a miracle. You are female, she whispered. Lisa nodded once. In the Krail Empire, females did not fight. They stayed in the great nests deep in the homeworld. They raised young. They served the males. They never held weapons, never led armies, never stood on battlefields. To see a female warrior was impossible. Yet here she was. The queen's voice trembled slightly. In my world, she said simply, we do what we must. The queen studied her face again then, laughed a low, rich sound that filled the room. You lie. You are not just doing what you must, you are doing what no one else dares. She stepped closer until their faces were inches apart, while Lisa met her gaze without fear, because no one else would. Queen was silent for a long time, then she turned and walked to the view screen looking out at the stars. For 10 years I believed humans were animals, but you are something else. She turned back. I will not kill you. Lisa frowned. Why? Because you are not my enemy. You are my mirror. Lisa said nothing. The queen continued. When I was young, I wanted to fight like the males. They laughed at me, called me broken. But I trained in secret. I killed my first rival at 16 and took his place in the war councils. Looked at Lisa with something like respect. But I hid my strength. I let them believe I ruled by their grace, not my own power. You do not hide. You stand in the open and dare the universe to break you. Lisa finally spoke again. What will you do with me? Queen walked back to her. I will take you to my world, not as a prisoner, but as a guest. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Why? Because my empire is rotting from within. The males grow bold, the females grow silent. The young lose hope. She paused. I need someone who reminds them that strength has no gender. Lisa shook her head. I will not help you rule. You will not have to, the queen said simply. Your presence will be enough. Lisa thought for a moment, then nodded. One condition, name it. You tell your people the truth. About me, not as a weapon, not as a ghost, but as a woman who fought for her home. The queen smiled. I will do more than that. I will make your name a legend. Lisa looked around the dead bridge one last time, then turned to the queen. Let us go. As they walked out together, the Krail warriors watched in stunned silence. A human woman walking beside their queen, not in chains, but side by side. On the Dreadnought's bridge, Queen Vela gave new orders. Broadcast this to every world in the Empire. She said. A human, female stood alone against our might and did not break. Let them see her. Let them remember. Days later, the Dreadnought landed on the Krail homeworld, a planet of black stone and red skies. Towers rose like spikes into the clouds, and millions of Krail watched from the streets as their queen descended the ramp, and beside her walked Lisa Murano, armor. No weapons, just a simple gray suit. Her face open for all to see. The crowd was silent at first, then whispers spread like fire. She is female. She fought the Empire. She stood alone. Krail females in the crowd looked at Lisa with wide eyes. Some clutched their young close. Others stood taller than they had in years. For the first time they saw a woman who was not hidden, not silent, not afraid. Queen Vela raised her hand and the crowd fell quiet. This is Lisa Moran, she said, the last captain of the human warship Defiance. She could have fled, but she chose to face us. She could have died, but she chose to live. She turned to Lisa. You showed us that courage is not born from size or species or gender. It is born from will. The crowd did not cheer, they did not shout, but something deeper happened. A shift. A crack in an old wall that had stood for centuries. Back on Earth, news came through broken channels. A human signal picked up by a deep space relay. Lisa Moran lives. She is with the Krail Queens. She is not a prisoner. Hope returned to the scattered human colonies. People who had given up began to rebuild schools. Opened farms grew, and children learned. Her name not as a myth, but as a real person who changed the course of war. Meanwhile, in the royal palace, Lisa was given rooms. Not a cell. Soft beds, warm food, and windows that looked over the Red City. Queen Vela visited her every evening. Tell me about your world? The queen asked one night. Lisa sat by the window. It was green, she said, oceans, blue skies, tall trees, and cities full of light before you came. The queen was quiet. I did not know. You did not care, Lisa said. But that is not why I am here. Why are you here then? To make sure you never forget what you took from us. The queen nodded, and I will not. Weeks passed. Lisa walked the palace gardens, watched Krail children play, and spoke with female attendants who asked her questions in hushed voice. So, did you learn to fight? Who taught you to lead? Are human females all like you? Lisa always answered the same. We are all capable. We just need the chance. Her words spread through the palace, then the city, then the outer provinces. Krail females began to gather in secret. They trained with sticks. They studied old battle texts. They whispered plans for a new future. Queen Vela knew and did not stop them. One evening she stood with Lisa on the highest tower of the palace. "You have done more in weeks than I have in years," the queen said. Lisa looked at the red horizon. "I did not do anything, you did." The queen smiled. "No, you showed them it was possible." Below them the city glowed with new light. Not the harsh red of war, but the soft gold of change. Lisa knew. The war was not over. The Krail males would not give up power easily. There would be fights, betrayals, blood. But for the first time there was a chance, and that was enough. As the twin moons rose over the Krail homeworld, Lisa Moran stood not as a soldier, not as a prisoner, but as a woman who had faced the end of everything and still chose to walk forward. And in that moment she was more powerful than any weapon, any ship, any empire, because she had given. Weeks turned into months and Lisa Moran remained in the Krail capital. Not as a captive, but as a guest with quiet power. She walked the stone halls of the royal palace with her head high and her steps sure. The Krail people watched her with growing curiosity and respect. Queen Vela kept her promise. She told the truth about Lisa, not as a monster or a weapon, but as a woman who fought for her home and refused to break. This story spread through schools, markets, and training grounds. Young Krail females began to ask why they could not train, why they could not lead, why they had to stay silent. The old male warlords did not like this. They held secret meetings in dark chambers, their voices sharp with anger. They called Lisa a poison, a trick, a human spy sent to weaken the empire from within. One night a group of them came to the queen. "She must go," they said. "Her presence stirs unrest. She is not one of us." The queen stood tall in her throne room, her eyes cold. "She is more Krail than you. She said she shows courage, honor, and sacrifice, things you have forgotten." The warlords left, but their anger did not. Meanwhile, Lisa spent her days speaking with Krail, women in gardens, in libraries, in quiet courtyards. She taught them how to move, how to think, how to stand when the world tries to push you down. She did not teach them to hate men. She taught them to believe in themselves. One afternoon, a young Krail female named Zira came to her trembling, but determined. "I want to learn to fight," she said. Lisa looked at her small frame, her nervous hands. "Why? Because my brother says I am weak because I am female, but I do not feel weak." Lisa nodded. "Then we begin tomorrow." Word spread fast. Zira was not alone soon. 10, then 20, then 50 young females came to train in a hidden courtyard behind the palace. They wore simple clothes and used wooden sticks, but their eyes burned with purpose. Queen Vela watched from a balcony one evening as Lisa moved among them, correcting stances, showing how to block a strike, how to use speed over strength. "You are building an army," the queen said softly. Lisa shook her head. "No, I am building a choice." The queen smiled. "That is more dangerous than any army," but danger came sooner than expected. One morning alarms blared through the city. Red lights flashed and horns sounded across the towers. The male warlords had moved. They seized control of the eastern gate, cut off power to the palace, and declared that Queen Vela had been corrupted by the human they demanded. She stepped down and handed Lisa over for execution. The city held its breath. Queen Vela called her loyal guards, but many were torn. Some still believed in the old ways. Then from the training courtyard came a new sound, boots on stone. Zira and the other young females marched into the palace square, not with weapons of war, but with discipline and unity. They stood in perfect lines, faces set with resolve. "We stand with the queen." Zira called, her voice clear and strong. More females joined them. Mothers, sisters, teachers, they filled the square until the warlord soldiers hesitated. Lisa stood beside the queen, watching. "You did this?" the queen said. "No, you did," Lisa replied. "You gave them space to rise." The standoff lasted hours. The warlords shouted threats, but the females did not move. They stood like stone. Finally, the head warlord stepped forward, his armor heavy, his voice loud. "This is madness. Females do not belong in power." Lisa walked forward alone. "And yet here I am," she said. He sneered. "You are human, a freak of nature, am I?" she asked. "Then why did your fleets burn when I led them? Why did your generals fall when I faced them? Why are you afraid of one woman with no armor and no weapon?" He had no answer. The crowd murmured. Lisa turned to the Krail females. "They tell you that you are less because you are female. But look at them, they fear us not because we are strong, but because we remind them that their power was never real. It was only given by silence." A cheer rose from the crowd. Small at first, then louder, the warlord drew his blade enough. But before he could move, Zira stepped in front of Lisa. Stick raised, touch her and you face all of us. The warlord looked around and saw hundreds of eyes staring back. Not with fear, but with fire. He lowered his blade and stepped back. That night the warlords were stripped of their titles, not by force, but by the will of the people. Queen Vela stood on the palace steps with Lisa at her side. From this day forward, she announced, Krail, females may train, may serve, may lead, as they choose. The city erupted in sound not of war but of joy. In the weeks that followed, schools opened for female warriors. Councils included female voices, and for the first time in history, Krail ships had female captains. Lisa watched it all with quiet pride, but she knew her place was not here forever. One evening she found the queen in the Star Garden, a quiet place filled with glowing plants that shimmered like constellations. I must go soon, Lisa said. The queen did not look surprised. I know Earth needs me. The war is not over, other colonies still suffer, the queen nodded. You have given us a gift, Lisa, a new way to see ourselves, and you gave me a chance to be more than a soldier. They stood in silence for a long time. Will you come back, the queen asked. Lisa smiled faintly. If you need me, you will always be welcome here. The next morning a small Krail shuttle was prepared, not a warship but a vessel of peace. It carried supplies, medicine, and messages of alliance. Lisa wore simple clothes again. No armor, just a pack and a small knife at her belt. As she walked to the shuttle, Zira ran up to her. Thank you, Zira said, tears in her eyes. Lisa hugged her. Thank yourself, you had the courage to stand. Then she turned to the queen. Take care of them. I will. The shuttle lifted off red skies, turning to black as it climbed into orbit. Below, the Krail capital glowed, not with the harsh light of conquest, but with the warm light of change days. Later, the shuttle reached the edge of human space. A signal came through, weak but clear. This is Colony 7, this is Colony 7. Do you read? Lisa activated the comms. This is Lisa Moran. I read you. Silence. Then a gasp. Captain Moran, you are alive. Ease and I am coming home. When the shuttle landed on the dusty plains of New Earth, a crowd waited. Not soldiers, but farmers, teachers, children. They ran toward her with tears and shouts. She stepped out, and for the first time in years, she felt the sun on her face, real wind in her hair. Real ground under her boots. An old man stepped forward, his face lined with years of worry. We thought you were gone. I was lost but not gone. She looked at the broken buildings, the empty fields. But we can rebuild, the old man said, because you showed us that hope is not dead. In the months that followed, Lisa helped rebuild, not as a general but as a leader. She organized farms, set up schools, and trained new defenders. Not just to fight, but to protect. News came from the Krail Empire, too. They had sent aid to human colonies, food, medicine, and engineers, to help repair what was broken. The war did not end with a treaty or a battle. It ended with trust, and it all began with one woman who removed her helmet, a year after her return. Lisa stood on a hill overlooking New Earth. The city below was alive. With light and laughter, children played in clean streets and ships flew. Not with weapons, but with trade goods. A young girl ran up to her. Captain Moran, will you teach us to fight? Lisa knelt humbly. If you promise to fight for the right reasons, what are the right reasons? To protect, to build, to give others a chance. The girl nodded seriously. I promise. Lisa smiled and stood. Then we begin tomorrow, as the sun set. She looked up at the stars, not with fear, but with peace. Somewhere out there, Queen Vela watched. The same sky, and both women knew the galaxy was changing, not because of weapons or empires, but because someone dared to be seen, to be human, to be female, and to stand tall anyway. 2 years had passed since Lisa Moran returned to human space, and the world she helped rebuild now thrived. New Earth was no longer a name of hope, but a place of peace. Farms stretched across green valleys. Schools buzzed with children learning, not just math and science, but history, courage and unity. Yet Lisa felt restless. She walked the hills at dawn, as she often did, her boots quiet on the damp grass, her eyes scanning the sky, not for enemies, but for signs of change. Change had come from an unexpected place. A signal arrived one morning. Not from the Krail Empire, but from the Outer Rim, a region long thought empty of life. The message was short and strange. We hear your name. We seek your voice. It was signed with a symbol no one recognized, 3 circles inside a triangle. The council debated what to do. Some said ignore it, others feared a trap. But Lisa knew better. Names travel farther than ships, she told them. If they know mine, they know what it means. So she prepared a small ship. Not a war vessel, but a scout craft named Horizon. Simple, fast, and light, she took only 2 others with her. Mara, a young engineer with quick hands and sharp eyes, and Jen, a former medic who now taught healing in the new schools. They left at sunrise, the ship lifting gently into the blue. For weeks they traveled through quiet space, passing old battlefields where broken hulks of ships still drifted, silent reminders of the war that once raged. Then they found it. A planet hidden behind a veil of dust, and ice, small and blue like Earth but colder. Its surface covered in strange towers that pulsed with soft light as Horizon entered orbit. A voice came through the comms. Calm and clear. You are Lisa. Morani. She replied, you are welcome. The ship landed on a smooth plain of black stone, and before the ramp even lowered, figures approached. They were tall and slender, their skin pale like moonlight, their eyes large and silver. They wore robes that shimmered like water and moved without sound. One stepped forward, taller than the rest, her face calm, her voice gentle. I am Alira, we have waited for you. Lisa frowned. Why? Because your story reached us across the dark. Your fight, your choice to show your face, your refusal to hide. Alira gestured to the towers. Behind her, we are the Vera, a people who value truth above all, but we have been silent for generations. We watched the Krail burn worlds. We watched humans fall. We said nothing because we feared becoming targets. Lisa crossed her arms, and now we see that silence is its own kind of war. Alira said, and we are tired of fighting it. She led Lisa and her crew into the city. The towers were not buildings, but living things grown from crystal and light inside. They hummed with energy. Soft voices echoed. In halls filled with books, not digital but real paper bound in cloth. You keep records the old way, Lisa said. We believe some truth should not be erased with a button. That night they shared a meal of sweet roots and clear broth, and Alira told their story. Long ago, the Vera were warriors like the Krail, but they chose peace. They buried their weapons, planted gardens, and turned their eyes to the stars. Not to conquer, but to learn. But peace made them weak when raiders came. They did not fight. They hid, and many were lost. Now they wonder if peace without strength is just another form of surrender. Lisa listened quietly, then spoke. Strength is not just in weapons, it is in choices. You can be peaceful and still protect what you love. How? Alira asked. By standing together, by teaching your young to value life but also to defend it. The next day, Lisa walked through the Vera training grounds. Not to teach fighting, but to show something else. She had Mara set up a simple comms device and called New Earth on a large screen. The Vera saw human children playing learning building. This is what we fight for. Lisa said, not to kill, but to give this a chance. Then she called the Krail capital. Queen Vela appeared on screen, not in armor, but in simple robes. Lisa, she said warmly. Vera have questions for you. The queen nodded. Ask a young. Vera stepped forward. How do you balance power and peace? The queen smiled. I do not balance them. I weave them like thread. Power protects peace. Peace gives power. Meaning, the Vera murmured among themselves later that evening. Alira found Lisa on a high balcony overlooking the glowing city. You have given us more than answers, you have given us hope. Hope is not enough, Lisa said. You must act. We are afraid. Then be afraid and act. Anyway, Alira was silent for a long time. Will you stay? Lisa shook her head. My home needs me and yours needs you, but I will leave something behind. The next morning, Lisa and her crew prepared to leave, but before they boarded Horizon, Lisa handed Alira a small box. Inside was a data chip and a note. The chip holds lessons from human and Krail teachers: how to build, how to heal, how to train without hate. The note says this: you are not alone. Alira held it like a treasure. Thank you. As the ship lifted off, Lisa looked down at the blue planet, knowing it would never be the same. Weeks later, Horizon returned to New Earth, but peace did not last. A new threat emerged not from the Krail or the Vera, but from within a group of humans, calling themselves the Pure Line, believed that only Earthborn humans should lead. That alliances with aliens were betrayal. They began attacking trade ships, spreading fear and calling for war. Lisa heard the news as she walked through the market. They burned a Krail supply ship near Alpha Station. They killed the crew. Her blood ran cold. She went straight to the council. This stops now. But the council was divided. Some agreed with the Pure Line. They said the Krail could not be trusted. That peace was a trick. Lisa stood before. Themi stood alone once, and it cost me everything. I will not stand alone again. She called Queen Vela. The queen answered at once. We heard. They are using my name. They say I was weak for sparing you. The queen laughed softly. Then let us show them what true strength looks like. Days later, a joint human Krail fleet gathered near Alpha Station. Not to fight each other, but to stand together. Lisa stood on the bridge of a new ship. The Unity, its hull marked with both human and Krail symbols. The Pure Line. Ships approached bold and angry. Surrender, they demanded, or be destroyed. Lisa opened a channel. This is Captain Lisa Moran. I order you to stand down. You are a traitor. One voice shouted, you side with monsters, and you, she said, are afraid of change. Then, she did something unexpected. She powered down her weapons, all of them. The Krail ships did the same. Silence filled the comms. What are you doing? The Pure Line asked, showing you that we do not need weapons to be strong. For a long moment. Nothing happened then. One by one, the Pure Line ships lowered their weapons. Their leader stepped onto a shared channel. His voice shaky. Why would you trust us after what we did? Because someone once trusted me when I had nothing left to give. That day, the Pure Line disbanded. Not by force, but by shame and hope. In the months that followed, humans, Krail, and even the Vera began to share more than trade. They shared stories. Songs and dreams. Lisa watched it all from her hill at dawn. Mara joined her one morning. You did it, no. She said, we did it. Jen came too, holding 2 cups of warm tea. What now? Lisa looked at the rising sun. Now we keep building, now we keep teaching. Now we keep showing the galaxy that the strongest thing any of us can be is kind and brave at the same time. And as the light spread across the land, Lisa Moran knew her war was over. Not because she won, but because she helped others choose peace. And that was the greatest victory of all. 3 years after the Unity fleet stood down the Pure Line, the galaxy had grown quieter. But not still. New voices rose, not with weapons, but with questions, with dreams. With hope, Lisa Moran no longer wore armor. She walked the fields of New Earth, in simple clothes, her hands calloused from farming, not fighting yet. When ships arrived from distant worlds, their captains always asked for her. Not as a warrior, but as a guide one. Morning, a small vessel landed on the edge of the settlement. Not Krail, not Vera, but something new. Its hull was smooth and white like bone, and it bore no markings. A single figure stepped out, short and wrapped in a gray cloak, their face hidden. They walked straight to Lisa, who was mending a fence near the school. You are her, the figure said, voice soft and young. I am Lisa. The figure pulled back the hood. A girl no older than 16, with wide eyes and skin marked with faint blue lines like rivers on a map. Name is Naya. I come from the outer Velisa. Knew the outer Vela region so far out. Most charts left it blank. What brings you here? My people are dying. She said, not from war, but from silence. She explained that her people, the Sealan, lived on floating islands in the clouds of a gas giant. They had no enemies, no wars, but they had forgotten how to speak to one another. Each family lived alone. Each child grew up without friends, without teachers, without stories. They were fading, not from sickness, but from loneliness. We heard your name. She said, you helped. The Krail and the Vera, you taught them to stand together. Lisa looked at the girl's hands, trembling. Not from fear, but from hope. And you want me to come. I want you to teach us how to connect. Lisa did not say yes. Right away, she spoke with the council. With Queen Vela, with Elira of the Vera, they all agreed this was not a mission of war, but of healing. So Lisa prepared again. Not with weapons, but with books. Seeds and music players filled with songs from Earth. Krail and Vera, she took Mara and Jen with her, and they flew deep into uncharted space. The journey took weeks. The stars growing stranger, the silence deeper. Then they saw it. a gas giant ringed with silver clouds, and within them islands of rock and green, floating like dreams held aloft by ancient plants that drank the wind. The Salen lived in small huts connected by rope bridges, but no one walked them. The islands were empty of sound. As their ship-landed figures appeared at doorways but did not approach. Nia led them to the largest island where an old woman sat alone on a stone. "This is Elder Cora," Nia said. She remembers when we spoke to each other. Cora looked at Lisa with tired eyes. "You are the one who showed her face. I am why because hiding did not save us." Cora nodded. "Slowly we thought peace meant no noise, no conflict, no need for others, but we were wrong." Silence became a wall. Lisa stayed. She did not give speeches. She did not command. She simply began. She planted seeds in the dry soil and asked children to help water. Then she played music in the open and waited until someone came close enough to listen. She cooked meals and left extra bowls out slowly one by one. The Salen came first, the young drawn by curiosity. Then the old drawn by memory. Lisa taught them games, from Earth where you must work together to win. She showed them cradle dances that told stories of courage, and Vera songs that spoke of stars and sorrow. On the 10th night, a boy no older than 8 sat beside her. "Why do you care about us?" "Because once I was alone too," she said, "and someone showed me I did not have to be." He looked at the stars. "Will we forget again?" "Only if we stop sharing." So they built a new tradition. Every evening the Selen gathered on the central island. Not to speak of big things, but small ones, what they saw, what they felt, what they hoped for. The rope bridges that once hung empty now swayed with footsteps. After a month, Lisa knew it was time to go. The Salen threw a farewell feast, not grand, but warm bread soup. Laughter, elder. Cora gave Lisa a small stone carved with 3 hands joined. "So you remember you are never alone," as the ship lifted off. Lisa watched the floating islands glow in the planet's light. No longer silent but humming with voices. Back on New Earth, more changes waited. A new school had opened, not just for humans, but for all young ones. Krail Vera. Even Selen children learned side by side, taught by teachers from every world. Lisa walked its halls one afternoon, watching a Krail girl help a Selen boy read a human poem. Mare found her there. "You look happy." "I am tired but happy." Jen joined them holding a data pad. "We got a message from the Deep Rim. A new species found our broadcast. They are coming to see for themselves." Lisa smiled. Good. That night, she stood on her hill, the same one she had stood on for years. The sky was full of ships, not warships but transports, traders and explorers from a dozen worlds, all flying under a new banner. 3 circles inside a triangle. The symbol of shared truth. Queen Vela called her. "They are calling it the Alliance of Equals," she said, "and they want you to speak at the first council." "You started it, Lisa. You showed us that strength is not in hiding but in showing up as you are." Lisa did not want to go. She liked her quiet life, her garden, her mornings with tea. But she knew her place was not just here. It was wherever someone needed to see that they mattered. So she agreed. The council met on a neutral moon, its surface covered in white sand and open-air. Delegates came from every known world and some unknown. When Lisa stepped onto the platform, no armor, no title, just herself. The crowd fell silent. She did not give a long speech. She simply said, "I was once told humans were weak because we feel, because we care, because we show our faces. But feeling is not weakness, caring is not foolish, and showing your face is the bravest thing you can do. If we build a future, it must be one where no one has to hide to be safe." Then she stepped down, and the room erupted, not in cheers but in something deeper, a shared breath, a promise. After the meeting, a young Selen girl ran up to her. "Will you teach us more?" Lisa Nelton. "Lee, if you teach me." To the girl beamed. "I will." In the weeks that followed, the Alliance began its work. Not making laws, but building bridges. Shared farms, shared schools, shared stories. Lisa traveled less now. She stayed on New Earth. But her voice reached farther than ever. One evening, as she sat on her porch, Mara and Jen beside her, a message came through. It was from Nia, now a teacher on the floating islands. "Today my students wrote their first story together," she wrote. "It is about a woman who removed her helmet and showed the stars how to shiny." Lisa read it aloud, then looked up at the sky. The stars were bright, and for the first time in a long time she felt not like a warrior, not like a captain, but like a part of something bigger. A galaxy learning to care. And that was enough. 5 years after the Alliance of Equals was formed, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Cities now rose on once dead moons, farms bloomed in asteroid belts, and schools floated in orbit around quiet stars where children from a dozen species learned side by side. Lisa Moran was older now, her hair streaked with gray, her steps slower but her eyes still sharp with the same fire that once faced down empires. She no longer traveled much. She lived in a small house on the edge of New Earth near the hill she had walked for decades, but her voice still carried across the stars through messages, lessons, and quiet advice given to those who sought her out. One spring morning, a ship landed not with fanfare but with silence, its shape smooth and unfamiliar, its color a deep green like forest shadows. A figure stepped out, tall and cloaked in woven leaves, their skin bark like their eyes, dark and calm. They walked to Lisa's door and waited. Lisa opened it, holding a cup of tea. "You are not from any world I know." "Am from the root worlds," the figure said, voice like wind through trees. Lisa invited them in. The visitor removed their cloak, revealing hands made of living wood and hair. "Like moss. My name is Torin. We are the last of the mycelians." Lisa had heard whispers of them, an ancient species said to live in the heart of dying stars. Not with fire, but with roots that drank light and turned it into life. "What brings you here?" Torin sat carefully on a wooden chair. "Our world is fading, not from war, but from forgetting." They explained that the mycelians once shared knowledge through song and touch. But over centuries they grew inward, each one retreating into their own root system until no one spoke to another. No one remembered the old songs, "We are alive but not living." Lisa listened quietly. "And you think I can help? You showed others how to return to each other. Perhaps you can show us too." Lisa did not say yes right away. She spoke with the Alliance Council, Queen Vela, Illyra, of the Vera, and even young Nia. Now a respected teacher, they all agreed this was not a mission of rescue but of remembrance. So Lisa prepared once more, not with tools or weapons but with seeds, songs, and stories. She took only Torin with her on the journey deep into the Crimson Nebula, where the root worlds floated like sleeping giants. The ship landed on a planet of soft soil and towering fungi that glowed with inner light. But the land was quiet. Too quiet, no birds, no wind, no voice. Torin led her to a great hollow tree at the planet's center. "This is where we gather, or once did." Lisa stepped inside. The walls were covered in carvings, stories of creation, of stars being born, of mycelians dancing under twin moons. But the floor was empty. She sat in the center and did not speak. She simply began to hum a simple tune from her childhood on old Earth, a lullaby her mother once sang. At first nothing happened. Then from a far root, a soft echo came. Another voice joined, then another. Slowly mycelians emerged from the walls, not walking but unfolding like petals in morning light. They gathered around Lisa, their eyes wide with something long forgotten wonders. He did not teach them to talk. She taught them to listen. Each day, she played music from human, Krail, Vera, and Seelan worlds. She told stories of courage and kindness. She planted seeds in the soft soil and asked them to care for them together. On the seventh day, she asked them to share one memory. An old mycelian stepped forward. "I remember the song of the first rain." And so it began. They sang that night, not perfectly, but together, their voices weaving through the roots and branches like water, finding its way home. Lisa stayed for a month, watching as the root worlds came alive again. Not with noise, but with connection. When it was time to leave, Torin gave her a small sapling. Its leaves shimmering with starlight. "Plant it where hope is needed." Back on New Earth, the sapling was placed in the center of the Alliance School. It grew fast, its roots spreading under the building, its branches sheltering students from every world. Lisa watched it from her porch one evening. Mara sat beside her, now head of the new engineering guild. "You know they are naming the next generation of peace ships after you." Lisa shook her head. "They should name them after all of us." Jen joined them, holding a datapad. "We have a message from the outer veil. A new species found the broadcast. They are coming to join the Alliance." Lisa smiled. Good, but peace was not without its shadows. Rumors came of a splinter group calling themselves the Trueborn. They believed that only pure species should remain separate, that mixing cultures would erase identity. They began spreading fear, calling the Alliance a lie, a slow death of tradition. Lisa heard their words on public channels. They used her name too. She was once strong, they said, but now she teaches weakness one night. She called a meeting, not with leaders but with young ones in the school courtyard under the mycelium tree. She sat with children from every world. Do you know why I removed my helmet all those years ago? She asked. Krail Girl raised her hand. To show you were real. Yes, Lisa said, and to show that being real means being seen, even when it is hard. Seelan, boy, spoke next. They say we are losing who we are by being together. Lisa looked at him. Who are you? I am Seelan, but I also love human music and Krail stories. Then you are more, not less. She stood. Fear wants you to believe that sharing makes you smaller, but truth is, sharing makes you larger. The next day, the young ones did something unexpected. They created a festival not of one world but of all. They cooked dishes from every culture, sang songs in every language, and told stories that blended old myths into new dreams. The true-born watched from the edges, and one by one some stepped forward, not to argue but to taste, to listen to. Learn Lisa did not speak at the festival. She sat in the back. Watching, Queen Vela found her there. You did it again. Did what? Showed them that love is stronger than fear. Lisa sipped her tea. I did nothing, they did it themselves. That is the point. As the sun set, the festival glowed with light from 100 worlds, and the sound of laughter rose into the star. Weeks later, Lisa received a message from Torrent, the root world. Sing every night now, and we have sent seeds to other silent worlds. You are not just one woman, Lisa. You are a ripple. She read it and placed it beside her window. That night she walked her hill one last time, not because she was leaving, but because she wanted to remember. The wind was soft, the stars bright, the world below alive with voices. She thought of the Defiance, the Dreadnought, the Palace, the floating islands, the root worlds. She had stood alone once, but now she never would again. And that was the greatest victory of all in the years that followed. Lisa's name became more than a story. It became a way of living. New captains before their first flight whispered her name for courage. Teachers began each class with her words, show your face, be kind, be brave. And on quiet nights when someone felt lost, they looked to the stars and remembered. One woman removed her helmet and changed everything. Salmoran did not live forever, but what she built did, and, in the end, that was enough.